hesitated too. Is I think he felt that he was going to jump up and pick it. So, but yeah, I just think we misplayed the ball and mistimed the ball, and it resulted in a huge play for them.
Is that something that you say, okay, if he's going to keep making these game plays, he's going to take risks that sometimes lead to that, or how do you coach that balance of aggressiveness and risk?
Well, I mean, it wasn't really a risk. I mean, he's in coverage. It's a double move. He's in trail position, and I mean, I've seen him make that play time and time again on the practice field. So, and I think it threw KZ off, because he obviously had a good break on the ball and was in position.
Do you think there's any part of KZ that's hesitating to deliver that hit because he's worried about that kind of penalty?
That's a good question. I haven't had that conversation, but that's probably something that he'd be better served to answer. But that's, I don't know.
Have you had a chance to
Have you
visit
ever
with
talked to a player that's been on a tear like Trayvon Diggs has been right now? Not so much interceptions, but whether it's touchdowns, whether it's sacks, anything of that nature.
Not off the top of my head. I mean, obviously I've had some quarterbacks that have been on great rolls, but this is special. I mean, it's intercepting a football is difficult because teams can throw away from you. But extremely impressed with what he's done to open up the season.
Mike, have you had a chance to talk to Lyle Collins? Where is he at physically, mentally, all of it?
Yeah, Lyle's been here. I mean, he looks good. Workouts and so forth. So we're excited to get him back in a full mix after the bye week. But
is it an obvious no-brainer? He's the right tackle as well as Terrence Steele has played.
And that's really the timing of the bye week. These are the kind of conversations we'll have. We got full slate of South Scott projects that we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to do cross the hall preparation for when the players come back. I think I've talked about cross the hall here in the past. It's something that's really served the players very well. So we'll have a personnel meeting probably tomorrow. So we'll have those types of conversations.
As you probably know, Collins played guard
It's
when he
hard
first
to
came.
because you have a bye week, and then next week you have maybe 3 days of practice time to kind of say, okay, let's throw you in a game after being off for 5 weeks, even though he might be in good shape,
Definitely. I mean, he played on short reps coming out of camp. So, we'll just have to see where he is once we get on the field Wednesday.
Do you give him the whole week off from practice?
Yes, whole week off from practice. Absolutely.
I get that they're drastically different situations. The fourth down that you didn't get at the beginning of the game and the fourth and shorts that led to the miss and the made field goal, obviously very different situations in the game, but is that purely by hunch situation? Do you pre-plan those types of decisions? Like when you weigh that over the course of a game, just what's your thought process?
Well, I mean, there's pre-planning goes into it. I mean, there's a range that I'm looking at each and every week based on game plan, studies with what they've done, what we expect to get in those situations, and then there's obviously in-game, things because they can obviously change the way they play us when they start out. So it's a combination of both.
I've been pondering the right time to ask this.
From a personal standpoint, having a bye week is big. Can you look at it and say, man, we're took the roll here. This might hold up on them a little bit.
Not at all. I've never looked at the bye week. I think bye weeks are always at the right time because, unless it's after, the second or third week. I think 6 weeks into a season, especially when you play the yearly Thanksgiving game, I think this is a perfect time for us.
How's Donovan Wilson looking at game? It's the first time we've seen him in a couple of weeks.
I thought Donald did good. It was good to get him out there in some packages. I think I talked about this a little bit earlier. The fact that the defense saw so much 13 personnel and 22 personnel. Our projected reps on some of the players wasn't quite what we anticipated. So, but it was great to have Dono back out there.
I don't know if it's still a little bit early for this, but how much of a difference do you think the 17th game is going to make?
That's a great question.
Too early to answer, or are you certain?
I'm planning on. I'm taking measures for it. I'm looking at the schedules. That was part of the presentation I gave today in the team meeting. Just breaking down the games into 3 segments. And what to expect in segment 2 and segment 3, and how this is going to affect or us benefit, as we get into the December, January games. So, I think the fact that what we're doing with our roster, I'm very hopeful and optimistic it's going to serve us well, because of the number of players that we have on IR return, and just if it, hopefully it can time up and, because, I'd hate to lose any of the guys that we have, currently in the building. So, I mean, that's the goal, but, a lot happens between now and then, but I feel like we have a very good plan.
Is there anything that you've tweaked or changed because of the 17th game, or no, anything specific?
Yeah, definitely. I was, I was cut some things back in training camp. I wasn't, the initial plan that I put together wasn't, we probably hit 90% of that as far as the workload capacity. Bless you. I just think that, just looking forward, I've always done a fall, the original schedule, I've done a fall schedule and then a winter schedule. I'm going to do something similar, in segment 2 and segment 3. I mean, segment 2 will be our fall schedule. We don't have fall here, so we might have to call it something else. But then we'll have a winter schedule, after the New Orleans game.
How much do you
I
believe
know
in
you're
the idea
optimistic if you
of
want Dak to return. How does Will and Cooper Rush look in the first, 5 weeks of the season? And how is the progression going in case you need to use them in a game?
Tell you what, Cooper's done an outstanding job. I mean, he's, Doug does a great job of keeping the quarterbacks involved in the game plan process, as far as individual presentations, throughout the week. Cooper's very sharp. He plays with really good rhythm, has command. So I feel really good about where Cooper Rush is. And I think Will's really has turned the corner in the last 2 weeks of, as far as the language and getting comfortable for what we're doing.
How much do you believe in the idea of momentum, and when you enter a bye week like this and there's obviously going to be a change of pace, what do you tell the players to make sure they're physically and mentally ready to pick back up?
We had a pretty significant team meeting, as far as, expectations, as far as what they need to do on the bye week. Our strength and conditioning coach, Harold Nash, spoke, the nutritionist spoke. So, I mean, we feel like we've given these guys a good plan, during these next 7 days. And I think, having that extra day Monday and to be able to really dive into the South Scott where they can benefit individually, I feel will be very helpful as, before we get on to Minnesota.
Did you ever get an explanation on the third down play on the goal line why they didn't call it a touchdown?
He said he couldn't see the ball past the goal line.
Obviously, he couldn't see the ball, yeah.
And that was his explanation. I didn't like it either.
And was it something that you could have challenged, or was it not worth it since?
No, he flat told me didn't see the ball across the goal line. He felt that Dak put the ball across once he was down. So I don't know how the hell he saw that, but I'm not criticizing anybody because we know how that goes.
You mentioned rest and rehab for Dak this week. Will he be in the boot all week? I mean, what are the limitations?
I do not know the timeline on the boot. I mean, he's in the boot today. I can tell you that.
Players obviously are accustomed to a structure, and then in the off season we have little time when they're on their own. Now you have this. You give them a certain "be careful out there" message.
Be safe, be smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about it last week when I told them what the schedule was going to be, and so talked about the things, distractions and what we don't want, and we have an outstanding season, 5-1, where we are, and we make sure that everybody's taking care of themselves, and want to spend as much time as they can with family and friends and regenerate. They've deserved it. They deserve this break, the length of it. So I have a lot of confidence and a lot of trust in those guys.
What went into the decision to attempt the punt block when y'all did, and even though you didn't ultimately get points off that drive? What do you think about how the play was executed?
Well, I mean, I think it's part of our approach. I mean, you have different types of rushes in your punt return or punt rush team. So I mean, there's usually some component of rush even in the return calls. So And I just thought Luke, did a phenomenal job, and especially the way he attacked the spot of the ball. So that was a huge play for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your bye week. All right.
You gonna go to the competition committee to propose 1st and 20 instead of 1st and 10?
We're kicking ass at 1st and 20. I don't mind it.